Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Luscious Living podcast. Today, I want to talk to you about something that has been on my heart and mind for so long because more than ever, my clients are coming to me with low iron. And so I want to talk about a holistic approach to low iron. I am streaming this on YouTube as well. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Celine Bilgin. I'm the founder of Luscious Living, where personal growth meets wellness, the best-selling author of the Painless Period guide, and a speaker. So I want to talk to you, like I said, about low iron. So many of the time, my clients are coming to me feeling tired, fatigued, not able to gain or lose weight rather, and they'll go to their doctor to get a blood panel, and lo and behold, their iron will come out as low. So what does that mean? Well, a lot of the time, my clients are provided with iron supplements, which would make sense, right? Low iron, so we should supplement with iron. And that doesn't actually solve the actual issue. I'm always trying to get to the root of the issue. Why does someone have low iron? And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why you would have low iron potentially, most importantly, what to do about it, but also some really important factors as to why is the body not absorbing the iron or creating more iron, right? And we're going to talk about some nutrients that actually help to absorb iron. But then we also have to look at the kidneys because it is not, iron is not just existing with itself in the body, okay? So if you're watching this live, you're gonna see me looking at some notes, okay? Because I have a crap ton of notes for you today. All right, so if you are, especially women, I work with a lot of women, and it is more common with women, and you've been told you have low iron, supplements can be great temporarily for some women. I don't recommend it longer than 2 to 3 months. It can create excess iron, which has its own issues there. It can also correlate with constipation and it can be hard on the stomach, okay? So let's talk about iron and what it does for you in the body first, okay? Because I do find that it's so empowering to know about your own body. You know, back in the day where people weren't able to write and only certain people could write, they held the power. And now with all these medical lingos or even in the financial industry, the more that you speak the language, the more empowered you can be. You can make your own decisions. And that's the biggest thing. I am so about women and men making their own decisions about their body and really understanding what's happening. Even myself, why am I giving you a specific food to eat or a specific supplement or a specific movement or whatever it is, okay? So that's the opening of it. Iron, okay, so we need iron to produce hemoglobin, which is a protein found in red blood cells, and it carries oxygen from the lungs, transports it to the body and the cells, okay? An iron deficiency can mean that you are not producing enough oxygen-carrying red blood cells. So then your body struggles to oxygenate the brain, the tissues, the muscles, the whole body, and then you end up feeling weak and exhausted, which is the number one telltale sign of iron deficiency. Okay? You also have pale lips, pale face as well, another one. Especially for women, obviously we and many women bleed every month, okay? And we need iron for that. So premenopausal women, it is very, very important. It's also very, very important if you are a runner, okay? It's very, very important that if you are a vegan or vegetarian, because animal-based iron sources are more absorbable in the body, okay? Also, if you're low in iron, it's critical to get enough vitamin C in the diet because it increases iron absorption. So for example, if you have a steak, you could have Brussels sprouts with lemon juice. Or if you have lentils, have bell peppers in your meal as well. Okay, so always pair with vitamin C, but also copper. Okay, so you also want to make sure that you get enough copper, because if you don't have enough copper, then it's not going to help you absorb the iron, which is not really talked about. So, so some foods high in copper is shellfish, seeds and nuts, organ meats, which honestly, if you're grossed out by it and you're still not eating it, get over it, really, because it is so good. Try to like it, okay? And you could look at supplements. And if you want a supplement recommendation from a local company here in Calgary that I highly recommend, it still kind of has a bit of a smell. And I totally get it, by the way. It does not smell or taste amazing, okay? But it's something that is so important, so good for us. And chocolate, dark chocolate, good quality cacao, rather, okay? So you can get this from a health food store and make hot chocolate all winter long with it, okay? Add some maple syrup or honey, add some mushroom powders, add some ashwagandha, which is precisely what I do, and you have yourself a herbal hot chocolate, okay? So, best sources of iron naturally occurring is liver from beef, okay? White beans, lentils, spinach, kidney beans, chickpeas, duck, sardines, grass-fed beef, lamb, blackstrap molasses, and pumpkin seeds. So what I recommend if you're listening to this, you do have low iron, pick 2 or 1 even out of these foods and make a new recipe with it. Add it into your daily food, especially if you are on iron supplements or you've been told you have low iron. Add this as a therapeutic food into your diet. Okay, really important. And then try to time this food around your menstrual cycle as well. So you might start to increase iron before, during, after, and then you might not need to think about it as much in between. Okay. Again, when it comes to getting enough absorbable iron from food sources, like I said, animal foods contain heme iron, which is more absorbable than non-heme iron, which is found in plant food. Okay, so eat both. Eat both. And yes, I absolutely do recommend the more paleo-based approach. I've been vegetarian, I've been vegan, and obviously this is so different for everyone, but there's a lot of conversation around vegan diets, which I think is beautiful in the sense that people are paying more attention to their food, making better choices, not going to processed foods and conventional foods as much. But be careful that you're not going for vegan junk food either, and also that you are listening to your body, because there are a lot of food in animal products that are really, really important for the body. And if you can get wild, grass-fed, pasture-raised, local, all the better, because I too am horrified by factory farming. Not okay with that as well. Okay. So coming back to my notes here, I actually want to talk to you about anemia as well. So anemia, this is the iron deficient anemia is one of the most common forms, but just because you have low iron does not mean you have anemia either. Okay, so anemia is caused by lack of hemoglobin, and iron deficiency is caused by lack of iron. Okay, iron deficiency anemia is caused by both the lack of iron and hemoglobin. And so anemia is when the blood does not have enough healthy blood cells, okay? And although iron deficiency anemia is the most common, as I mentioned, I think 3 or 4 times now, it is one of the most common types of anemia. It's not the only one. And so in your case, if you're listening to this, it's likely what this episode is really going to be beneficial, even if you don't have anemia, is to eat in a way that you do, okay? Okay, so I just want to go over. Okay, so again, for anemia, 3 reasons why you might have anemia is because, or you might not have enough red blood cells. A, you're not producing. Okay, sorry. 3 reasons why you would have anemia is from not having enough blood cells. Okay, or you're losing too much blood due to injury or menstruation or other circumstances that cause a lot of bleeding. Or your body's destroying the red blood cells due to changes in the immune system, so in an autoimmune condition, okay? And again, for anemia, it's very similar to iron deficiency, is if you are deficient in B12, okay, so if you don't get enough in general because either you don't methylate B12 properly, which is actually myself, and I get B12 injections, even eating animal products, or you might be vegetarian or vegan and you don't get enough iron or B12 rather in that way as well, because B12, you really get it through animal products and vegetable yeast as well in small amounts. Again, being a woman, actually, so anemia and low iron happen more in women, partially because we bleed as well more. And I think a lot of times women eat less protein, less meat as well. Okay. Older age, pregnancy, candida, which is a yeast overgrowth. If you crave a lot of sweets, if you crave a lot of bread, pastas, those kind of carbohydrate foods, and sometimes you wake up foggy and just like you're almost drunk, candida. Okay, and that's a whole other conversation. Taking a lot of over-the-counter pain relievers, okay, especially aspirin, which actually blocks certain nutrients. So that's another risk factor. Okay. And there's a few other ones, but really, again, vegetarian or vegan diet is also going to interfere with that. So one of the ways that's not really talked about to nourish anemia is actually the things I want to talk to you today. And that's going to be nourishing your spleen, using probiotics, okay? Because if your gut is compromised, you're not going to be absorbing the best local meat or eggs ever, okay? Third step is consuming iron-rich foods, okay? Reducing stress, and really we're gonna look also at helping the kidneys, because the kidneys, so healthy kidneys produce a hormone called erythropoietin, which stimulates the bone marrow to make red blood cells, okay? So again, looking at the root, we need this hormone in order to make more red blood cells. Huge. Why is that not talked about? Okay, so I'm going to talk about them really caring for the kidneys in that way too. Okay, so coming back up. The first way, as we mentioned, is nourishing the spleen. The first treatment for anemia should be to nourish the spleen. Okay, so the spleen is an organ responsible for red blood cell production, as well as keeping fluids in your system. And if the spleen is not healthy, then it's going to be one of the number one factors that's going to create anemia. So there's certain foods to eat to nourish the spleen, okay? This is really squashes, okay? Pumpkin, acorn, butternut, spaghetti, those bright orange colored foods, okay? This is really important to try to get 1 to 2 servings a day to really, again, you're using food as medicine. Other foods for red blood cell production is leafy vegetables, okay, spinach, kale, chard, things like that. And then specifically vegetables like romaine lettuce and arugula, okay? So again, if bitter is a difficult flavor to incorporate, eat more of it, because your body, it's like if there's a kind of negative response to it, it's likely that we need more, and it's really good for the liver there. Next is probiotics, okay? So we have good and bad bacteria in the body. And when we use antibiotics, it completely wipes it all out. And most of us in North America have had to use antibiotics, okay? And so, but good gut health is crucial for absorption of nutrients, crucial for also mental health. It helps you create GABA and serotonin, which is your anti-anxiety and feel-good neurotransmitter. A really good book, and I actually have interviewed Dr. Emran Mayer on the Luscious Living podcast, is The Gut-Brain Connection that he wrote. He's a gastroenterologist and UCLA professor. So check out that interview as well, because really important stuff there, and the research just continues to come out for that. So, so if you're not able to digest, your gut health is not optimal, then you're not going to. You could eat, again, the best food in the world. You're not going to digest. You're not going to assimilate the nutrients properly. Okay. So I found I found a study out of Stanford that when someone supplements with probiotics, all of their B vitamin levels tend to go up along with iron levels. Okay. So again, the iron, just popping the iron tablet without trying to fix the underlying problem is always going to lead you in a rabbit hole, or not a rabbit hole, but a hamster wheel. So things like yogurt, goat milk, or rather kefir, coconut kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, pickles, miso, apple cider vinegar, but make sure you get these in the refrigerated section and not the pasteurized area where the aisles are. Okay. Next and third step is to consume iron-rich foods. Okay, the richest sources of heme iron is seafood, lean meat. Okay, non-heme is nuts, beans, vegetables. Okay, I actually have a whole list for you. Okay, best. Actually, I already read it for you. Okay, so go back to that part of the episode and listen to the best sources of iron there. Okay, so that's step number 3. Step number 4 is to reduce stress. And I think that's the most annoying thing because we hear it all the time. But I like to combine that into 2 different, or rather even not combine, but the opposite, but have 2 different parts to reducing stress. Number 1 is bliss amplification. So all the things that make you feel joyful, the things that make you feel relaxed, beauty is one of these things because a healthy body, or rather a relaxed body, is a healthy body. And beauty, whether it's a painting, whether it's a pair of earrings that you wear or a mug you love, beauty makes us feel relaxed. And a relaxed body is a healthy body. So start to look at these little areas. Again, whether it's a mug or fresh flowers or a beautiful outfit that you wear that makes you feel amazing, look at that, okay? Taking care of yourself, taking pride in how you look and feel. Huge. And then the other part of it is actually looking at being a problem solver, right? Because stress is inevitable, but how we handle it, how we actually accomplish these tasks with pride is going to make the biggest difference. So when you do have a problem, write it out. What is the problem? What are the possible solutions and strategies you will take? Right? And then who are the people you need to speak to? What are the actions you must take? And start to take action and document it, really. Because again, we just simply need better tools. Of course, things like breath work, meditation, yoga, exercise, those, I don't even talk about that in a way because it's just like, that's something we need to be doing. I know if I go even a few days without exercise, which rarely happens, I'm like, am I depressed? Is everything okay? And then I go out for a run and I'm like, yes, it's all good. Don't worry. Okay. So really, again, bliss amplification, surrounding yourself with beauty, getting the tools. Okay. So things like planning the week ahead, the year ahead, getting your finances in order, your relationships in order, things like this. Okay. These are all really, really important to reduce stress. Communication skills is vital. And then as well, tools, exercise, movement, nutrition, huge. Okay, gut health is huge for stress. Okay. And then the last thing, as I mentioned, is for the kidneys. Okay, is if we don't have healthy kidneys, then the bone marrow will not be stimulated to make more red blood cells. Okay, so it's really important for the kidneys. First and foremost is fear. Fear is the number one thing that impacts the kidneys because it is the kidneys. So is we are. So let me backtrack here. Study a lot of Chinese medicine, okay, and a lot of the time, so fear and the kidneys is related because we end up depleting our jing, okay. So this essence, this energy that we have that we're born with. And then also on top of the kidneys are the adrenal glands. And this is where cortisol, our survival or stress hormone, is produced. And so if we are chronically stressed out or chronically in fear, this is telling the body to constantly produce cortisol, which is the number one thing that impacts your thyroid, your parathyroid, your heart, your liver, all of it, okay? So fear, living in fear or anxiety is going to impact that. Okay, so that's going to be so multifaceted, but making sure the body, and first and foremost, is healthy, is aligned. Again, gut health, making sure that your B12 is sufficient, getting enough exercise, fresh air, warmth, people that you love, and really, really becoming a master of your mind. Okay, these are all huge, huge, huge. And then really playing, singing, dancing, all of that, very important. And addressing those fears. What are those fears? Are they fear of not reaching your potential? That could be valid. Is it fear of social anxiety? Well, what can you do about that, right? And so start to become empowered about your life rather than in this constant state of fear, because it was one life that we have. Some foods and herbs I want to talk to you about is goji berries. Okay, so goji berries have been traditionally used in TCM to strengthen the kidneys, balance yin and yang, and invigorate jing, as we were just talking about. Okay, and so goji berries are delicious. You can get them from Chinese herbal stores or a lot of health food stores. You can just eat them as a snack, add them to your tea, things like that. Okay, the other one is Romania root. This is a trickier one to ingest because it is very strong in flavor. Okay, so it's a blood tonic, relieves sleepiness, irregular menstruation. You drink it with sweetener, add it to that hot chocolate we were talking about. Okay, so really, really good for that. Other tips are keeping the body warm, okay, keeping the lower back warm, especially in the winter. I actually just came across these vests for running, and they have a little heat pack in the abdomen, and it'd be so nice to have it in the back as well. I actually have seen they have these wraps to cover the kidneys in Asia as well. And you might just have a heat pack or a water bottle as well. Drinking plenty of water, okay, keeping the pop and coffee to a minimum. And don't get me wrong, I love my coffee as well, okay? So it's 1 or 2 cups max, green tea, white tea, which all have caffeine in it still. And same with, herbal teas, rooibos tea, oat straw, nettle tea, red raspberry leaf, all of these beautiful teas that are so not really known about, and they're so good for us. Salt. We need salt. Okay, not the crap that's sold in the grocery stores, the white table salt. Good quality Celtic sea salt. And Himalayan is good as well, but Celtic sea salt, especially in the region that I live in Canada, right in the middle, bottom middle, right, there's no ocean near me. So Celtic sea salt, the minerals there are really, really important. And we do need some sea salt for the kidneys. And then in Chinese medicine, again, the kidney meridian is associated with the color black. So black, and it's funny because Romania is also like a black, very dark color as well. So it's believed, and honestly, I see in my practice too. Okay, so it's not just a belief; it's also seeing that these foods nourish your kidneys. So eggplant, black sesame seeds, black beans, plums, okay, walnuts, figs, raisins, brown rice, hearty soups and broths and things like that, all really beneficial for the kidneys. Okay. So that's really what I want to go over with you today. Okay, so let's recap, shall we? So we have low iron and we have anemia. And then iron deficient anemia is the most common form of anemia. And it's worth looking at. It really is. Like, obviously, if your skin is very, very pale, again, really good indicator. If you're feeling super tired, not really sure why, your blood is coming back in a panel that it's low, look at these things, okay? So getting enough vitamin C in your diet and pairing that with your iron, okay? Knowing that animal-based iron is actually more absorbable for the body, but still eat non-heme plant-based sources as well, okay? We have the 12 best sources of iron to eat. Make sure that you have copper as well to help absorb iron in the gut. Super important. Again, especially like big risk factors that I see, females, but female runners, and then female runners who are also vegetarian or vegan. You probably have iron deficiency. And then if you notice your hair might be falling out, you might just be completely exhausted, things like that, really good sign of low iron or even anemia. To really treat the body with this, nourish the spleen, use probiotics. It could be through a supplement, or really, I do prefer whole foods. Okay, consuming iron-rich foods, copper-rich foods, vitamin C, reducing stress, getting the tools to feel better on a day-to-day basis, but also tackle your challenges, and really working on kidney health. Okay, kidney health through herbs, kidney health through getting out of fear mode and into love and into action mode. Okay, lots of water, lots of nourishing foods, really, really important. Not just important, they're vital. So, my loves, that is what I have for you today. Please be sure to share this episode with the women in your life, because, again, I see this all the time, and the more empowered that we can all be about our bodies, the better health we have, and the better health we all have, the better world we live in. And that is why I do what I do. So thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this, subscribe to the podcast or the YouTube channel. Be sure to get yourself and a loved one a copy of the Painless Period Guide. It's on Amazon. Very, very brief overview of the menstrual cycle and super empowering. All right. Well, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Mwah.